Well, hi class, we are starting the 8th week. That means we are at the halfway point. And for the next half of the semester, this is where your growth and development as a speaker is really going to be enhanced. Because pretty much for that second half of the semester, and even starting this week, we're working now on our big speeches. We've got the critic speech that we're doing right now. That's due at the end of the week. Once we're done with the critic speech, we're going to move on to the informative speech and then to the persuasive speech. And that's going to take us all the way through to the end of the semester. And then right at the end, you'll have one final speech. It's a little farewell speech, very similar to that introductory video that you did at the start. But one thing I really want to emphasize right now, if you want to be successful on these 3 upcoming speeches, you've got to make sure that you are reading all of the materials in each of the modules, that you're looking at the sample outlines, and you've got to make sure that you're watching all of the instructional videos and the weekly lectures. Because as we start getting into the speech assignments, the information becomes much more specific. And so if you're not reading the materials, if you're not watching the instructional videos, it's very easy to tell in your work. So now as we're getting into the outline construction, we're getting into the presentation of more speeches, if you don't get all the correct information, it's going to show in your work. Your work will expose the fact that you haven't been reading all of the material and watching all of the instructional videos. I mean, that's one of the things that is so easy to tell when you're teaching online. It's very clear who's reading and watching and applying what they're learning and who's just going to the assignment and trying to figure it out as you go. When you look at that quiz, the last one that you took on speech structure, as soon as I look at the answer, I know whether or not you've read the materials. I know whether you've watched that video on outline construction. And usually I'll see an essay there, no structure, no organization. That tells me person hasn't been watching the instructional videos. On the other hand, I'll get an outline and it's perfect. And that's the deal too. There's not much in between. If you're watching the stuff and utilizing all the information, your work has been outstanding, because it's just a matter of making sure that you're incorporating everything that you see in the sample work. Everything that you see in the instructional video is incorporated into your work, and it's easy to tell. In fact, as we now get into the speech assignments, both with the critic speech, the informative speech, and the persuasive speech, in each of those modules, you'll see lots of sample outlines. And those are really outlines that students have done in the past for the same exact assignment, and they received an A on the assignment. So I'm showing you the best quality outline. So it's just a matter of you put your outline together, now compare it to the sample outline that you have access to. If your outline looks just like the sample outline, you've got everything where it goes, everything's formatted the same way, then you're going to do great on the assignment. But if you look at your outline and it doesn't look like the sample outline, you still have some work to do. So I really encourage you. And up to this point, you can get by. But here on out, you are not going to do well in the class unless you use and apply all of the available information. And so this week, what I really want to do is just to show you the materials that you want to utilize as you're putting together your critic speech. So to do that, let's go ahead and go to the modules. Okay, so now we're on the modules, and once you have your, I'm going to kind of work backwards here. Once you have your outline done, it's submitted, it's good to go, and it's time to start practicing for your delivery of the critic speech. Probably a good idea to go back to the week 6 module on delivery and just kind of go over and review the speech delivery techniques, and most importantly, how to practice a speech. And again, what I'm really after in terms of developing your ability to practice for your presentation, Once you have your outline done, and the sooner you have it done, the better. But once your outline is set, you've submitted it, you've got feedback from me that says, hey, your outline is cool, great. Now start working on preparing for your presentation. What you want to start doing is just take that outline and just start reading your speech out loud from the outline. And if you have 5 days between completing your outline and delivering the speech, doing the actual presentation, and if in those 5 days, you just take that outline and read your speech out loud once, twice, 3 times, and do that 3 times every day in the 5 days leading up, you're going to have a really good grasp of your content. And when it comes to the critic speech, as far as getting a complete in terms of the delivery, all I'm asking you to do is I want your eye contact to be on the audience at least half the time. So that means at least half the time you're speaking right into that camera, right? You're looking right at the audience. You're not reading your speech, but just 50% of the time. So if you have to glance down occasionally, see the next line, look up, that's fine. What I don't want is you reading your speech. It's just not a great way to engage the audience. So practice your speech 3 times a day, every day. And if you go here and take a look at the speech delivery techniques, each time you practice, work on a different skill. Like right here, okay, I can just work on my eye contact. So I'm just going to practice my speech, and I'm going to try to just look into that camera lens as long as I can before I have to glance down. And you can keep doing that, and it might be, you're glancing down like every sentence, but you do it 3-4 times. Now you're going to be holding your gaze on the camera a little longer. If you get to the point where you can get through 2 or 3 sentences without having to glance down, cool. And then another time you can practice reading your speech out loud, work on the vocal variety, changing up your rate and volume. Another time, you can practice by working on your gestures. Another time, you can even practice as far as your movement, right? Maybe you want to sit down, but you want to get your hands involved. Maybe you want to stand up and give a stand-up speech, which is kind of more the traditional method. And here you've got a video you can watch on how to maintain your stance while you're giving a presentation. And so the point that I'm making is, once you have your outline done, you want to have at least a couple days between the completion of the outline and the delivery of the speech where you practice your presentation. And a good way to practice is to go through the entire outline by reading your speech out loud and focus on a different delivery technique each time. All right, let's go back to the modules. And now let's talk about where to go to really find some information that's going to help you with the overall structure of the speech. So, in terms of speech structure, you want to make sure that you watch the instructional video on outline construction. This video right here. This video, I walk you through exactly how to put the outline together for the critic speech. I kind of covered 3 things. First, I go over the basic speech structure for any outline. Then I take that and apply it specifically to the outline format that you want to use for the critic speech. And I give you an example of the outline format for the critic speech. And again, you want to get a complete on your outline. When you're done with your outline, make sure that it looks like the sample video. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So here we're going to go to the week 8 module. That's the one that you're on right now. We're going to click on critic speech. This is where we have all the instruction. And notice here too, we have tabs of information, right? This first one, that hardly gives you anything, right? Those of you that are kind of struggling with the topics, you're the ones who just looked at the first speech. You didn't go to the actual tabs because that's where you get the real details. So here on the second one, the outline format, here is what your outline should look like in terms of the format. We've got our introduction with our 4 components, our attention getter, our topic sentence, thesis statement, preview, and everybody's preview should sound the same in this speech because you're all using this outline format. So in the body of the speech, you'll first be describing whatever your topic is, then you'll be giving an overall evaluation. But this is what your outline should look like. And I give you a great sample video. This is an example of a student giving a critic speech. And so in terms of the delivery, it's good to watch this video and emulate a lot what the student is doing right here. So here you have both an example of the delivery of the critic speech, what it should look like, and what a good delivery looks like. And then also you have the outline format here. And let's not stop there. Let's go ahead and click here. Now we're going to see some sample outlines, right? These are outlines that students have done for this very assignment. Here's one that's on a movie. You can tell how old I've been doing this assignment. This is from the movie Saw, but still works, right? And so here's the outline format. So again, you want to ensure that you're going to get a complete on your outline before you submit it. Take your outline and compare it to the sample outline. You want to make this really easy? Just take the sample outline here, copy and paste it to a document, and then just take out all the specific info and put yours in, right? That ensures that you have the formatting done correctly. And I don't mind that because that's teaching you and reinforcing the way to properly put an outline together for a speech. And then you've got a second sample outline right here. This was on a CD. All right. So when it comes time to putting your critic speech together, you want to utilize the information here in speech structure, specifically watching the instructional video for constructing an outline for a speech. You want to make sure that you go through the critic speech and go through all the tabs, use all that information as you're putting your critic speech together. And then when you're ready to start practicing your delivery, jump up to module 6 and make sure that you review both the speech delivery techniques and how to practice a speech. You do those 3 things, you're going to excel on the assignment, and that's what we want. And in the next 3 speech assignments, we just want to get better with each assignment, both in terms of putting our outlines together and in terms of our overall delivery. And then the last thing that I want to point out, you want to make sure that after you submit your work, right? So you submit your outline for the critic speech. And one thing I do as far as grading, with the outlines, I try to get to those as soon as possible. You've probably even noticed with some of the grades, there are some of the paper assignments I haven't got to yet, but the quiz on the speech structure comes in. Some of you have already submitted your outline for the critic speech. I get to those right away because I want to get that information back to you as soon as possible so you can incorporate that information into the actual presentation. So, for example, once you submit your critic speech outline, as soon as I can get to it, I will. And I'm going to look to your outline here in this window, but I'm going to give you lots of specific comments right here in the comment box. So you want to make sure that for each assignment, once you submit it, you're going back once you see that it's been graded complete or incomplete, and you want to make sure that you read the comments here. Because what's going to happen with some of you, your outlines are going to be okay, but stuff needs to be changed. So I'll tell you here, look, you're getting it incomplete, but if you just fix your transitions and your preview, you'll get it complete. So resubmit when you do, and so you'll get that back, you'll make the changes, you'll resubmit it. I'll check those changes, make sure that it's good. Now, you know when you finally get that complete on the outline, you are good to go in terms of getting ready for the presentation. So it's always an advantage if you get those outlines to me earlier than later. If you wait till the actual due date and turn it in at 11:45 p.m. like half the class does, then it's going to take me a little bit longer to get to that outline, get you the feedback so you know whether you need to make changes to the outline or if you're good to go in terms of getting ready for the presentation. So make sure that you're reading all the comments in the comment box here. I'm just telling you what to do to get better, and I don't mind. But what I do mind is if I see an outline here and it's evident that you haven't read any of the materials, you haven't watched any of the instructional videos. Because now, in terms of the grading, I not only have to record the videos, have to write out all the instructional content, If you don't pay attention to that, then what? You're expecting me to give you all the specific information right here? That's not happening. And so what you'll see a lot of times in the comment box is go back, look at the sample outline for the critic speech, or go back, watch the instructional video on outline construction. So you might as well just watch all that stuff at the start. That'll ensure that your work's done correctly, and you'll save us all a whole lot of time. All right, folks, do your work to the best of your ability, and especially when it comes to public speaking and communication, because this is stuff that we can use. And the better you are as a speaker, the better you are in terms of understanding how to put outlines together to give you the foundation to be a good speaker. You get that stuff down, and that's just going to add to your ability to make a difference in this world. Have a good week. Give me your best on these critic speeches, and we'll just keep getting better and better and better.